Hey there, it's Boris, founder of Lead, and I'm making this video to go over the entire code outbound flow that we're going to be following at Lead in 2026 and beyond on behalf of our clients and for us as well. Now, for some context, we've been running cold email for software development, SaaS, and marketing B2B firms, and we've been getting amazing results with cold email. But going forward, we imagine that the future will be more appreciative of multi-channel approaches, especially within the cold outbound space. So we're integrating LinkedIn and for some clients and for us warm calls as well. And I'm gonna show in this video kind of how everything flows together. And you can use this as a rough guideline or a roadmap of if you want to do something like this, if you want to build an engine like this that is able to book you anywhere between, I would say realistically between 20 and 50 meetings a month, depending on your offer. It can be even more or less. This is kind of the way to go to do it consistently. So yeah, let's get to it. Now, I'm not going to waste any time. This is going to, again, completely unscripted, and I'm just going to try to go over everything. Keep in mind, I am going to be going over a lot of different softwares and platforms. I'm going to show some of them here that I have on the tab above me, but you have to do your own due diligence and dive deep into them after this video, because otherwise it's going to be really, really long. But yeah, let's begin. So everything starts, at least in our engagement, from a strategic standpoint, from understanding what the customers do. So what their product or service does, who they help, and kind of what the transformation looks like for the clients, because this is basically what we're going to be using in the core messaging. When we're doing outbound, we really want to do it in the shoes of our clients, so we have to understand this from the get-go. So phase 0 before we do anything is strategic foundations, and it focuses on defining target market. First of all, that happens from an onboarding form typically for us. Now, obviously for you, if you're doing it for your own company, you kind of already have these inputs, but just to give you an understanding of what we're looking to subtract this data at this point is to collect: what is it? Who is it for? What is the value? Why is it different? What are the main geographic locations? What are the top 5 industries that you service? And what is the one that is the really most profitable one? You might have a big basket of industries that you help, but there's probably 1 or 2 that really outshine the rest. You kind of want to focus on these ones. So yeah, you can do a short summary of your offer. You have to be, again, clear on what type or what size of company are you approaching, what revenue ranges should there be in, what the person within the organization is doing. So who is your internal champion who's going to be selling your service? Is it directly the CEOs, or if you're approaching bigger organizations, is it the head of growth or VP of sales, etc., etc.? And you just kind of want to define these metrics. Now, we would typically take this from previous case studies and see who our clients have worked with in the past and who has had the biggest transformation, and we would build lookalike audiences. But I'm going to share more on this later on. But you just really want to understand this and be very clear on this, and kind of what the main objection handlers are, what the USP is, so unique selling proposition, and all of this stuff, and results of changes that you've done for clients, and etc., etc. Okay, everything starts from that. Now, after the form has been completed, at least for us, we have internal systems that push them to a custom LLM. So we're going to be creating a bot, whether it be on ChatGPT, on OpenAI, or Claude, or Perplexity. We mainly use OpenAI and Anthropic for this one, but again, it's like up to you, whatever you feel that works best for you. We just like to use the form and the call transcripts and the data that our customers give us to create these models, so we can, again, use them in brainstorming sessions, because obviously we want to be productive on every front, not just outbound, but strategy as well. Then after we have this, we have to define, again, the ICP, the total addressable market, and exclusions. So who should we not reach out to? This is the point where you should create a do not contact list, so you avoid people that have in the past been contacted by you and are not interested, or existing customers. You do need to exclude them, but with the tools that I'm going to show you, you can pretty easily do that as well. So let's say you've defined your industry, company sizes, geography, title, seniority, etc. You want to do a broad search. I mean, if you have case studies and you have concrete companies that you would like to work with and their domain names, then you can use Ocean.io or Discolike. Discolike is really good for doing lookalike searches, but Sales Navigator and Apollo are still kind of the biggest out there. Obviously, you have Crunchbase and all that, but just for assessing the TAM, I would say these are will give you a good representation of what you're working with, whether you have 10,000 people globally that you can contact or 1 million people. It's kind of where you find this out. Then when we do this, at least for us, this is where we have a strategy alignment call with our clients, where it's basically a kickoff call, and we show them, okay, this is the total addressable market, this is our core strategy for the pilot campaigns, this is what we are going to be aiming to achieve within the first weeks of launch, etc., etc. And we also onboard them on Slack. We have a shared drive where we share all the resources like lead lists, any campaign performance data, anything that they would like to see, it's kind of shared there. We also set up an internal ClickUp client setup, so we can manage tasks there. And we also share with the client a lead sheet where they basically get an overview of all the leads that are brought in, whether they want a phone call request, information request, meeting request, or I don't know if I say quote, but yeah, pricing request as well. So yeah, this is where you kind of, when you have the strategy already and you've defined the ICP and you've created your custom bots, you've assessed your total addressable market, or at least a big fraction of it. This is where you kind of want to dial in and say, okay, we're going to be using this communication platform, this platform for sharing documents, this platform for project management, and we're going to be using this tech stack for, just doing lead lists, CSV, etc., everything there. This is what we do in the strategy. Now, in terms of qualification, you do need to obviously understand this early on, and I believe a lot of companies already know this, but in general, you kind of want to assess, okay, what is the spending availability of my perfect customer? Who is the decision maker within the organization? What immediate needs or urgent problems are there that they want to solve that our solution solves? And in what time frame will they need the solution? So how urgent is it? This is the PANT framework. We also follow the MEDIC framework, which is metrics, economic buyer, decision criteria, decision processes, identify pain, and champion, which follows a similar approach. It's like, okay, 6 core questions. What is the economic impact of the solution? Who has profit and loss responsibility for this? What are their technical, vendor, and financial criteria? Then what happens? Define the validation and approval processes that has to happen in order for you to get the deal. What are their primary business objectives, and who will sell on your behalf inside the company? This ties perfectly with the PANT framework and everything that we've discussed in the past, but this is all done in the beginning before we touch any technologies, before we do any lead scraping, before we do any copywriting, before we do any content as well. So what qualifies a lead for a warm call? What qualifies a lead for a discovery session? What disqualifies a lead immediately? These are kind of the 3 core questions I would personally incentivize you, or at least recommend that you kind of have answers to them before you continue with anything else. Because of these questions, you will be able to define the success KPIs. Now, for cold email, it can look something like this. So for example, you contact 10,000 people, you get 4% reply. Then out of the 4% reply, 25 of them actually respond with a positive sentiment, which gives you, 1/4 of all replies is a person raising their hand saying, hey, I would like to understand more about what you're selling, which is 1% of the total replies that you've received. From the contacts that you've contacted. So then we're looking at the percentage of opportunities that convert to meetings, which at the end of the day is kind of the end goal. You would like to go face to face and speak with these people, of course. So in terms of this, it really matters kind of what your speed to lead is, how fast you reply to people, the type of reply that you send to people. And there's a lot of moving parts here, so this can move from client to scenario from scenario, but in general, we see anywhere between 20 to 40% conversion on this stage. And then how many show up? So this is affected by your pre-call, post-call automations, whether you're using Calendly, HubSpot, or any other calendar solution. You really want to dial this in, and I'm going to speak over this about this later on. Then from the show up rates, how many go into proposals and how many go into closed deals. You really want to have these set before you launch any campaigns, so that you know whether you're doing the right thing or not, whether you're performing well or something needs to be improved. After we have the strategy dialed in, we go into phase 1, which is the data pipeline. This is where we're going to be building the lead lists. Here you want to do, first of all, building and scraping the contact lists. Now, as I said, we like to do lookalike audiences, but obviously we can also launch broader campaigns, which is like total addressable market leads. In general, if you know that you're working with hospitals in Central Europe, then you can use that total addressable market when you assess it and when you find the people. But then if you have specific customers that you would like to work with, which are kind of more niche, you can do a separate campaign using Discolike and Ocean.io and Clay, of course. But yeah, in general, these are the databases that we use. You can use Clay to find people within the platform itself, but from the majority of cases, we like to use Clay for enriching and scoring leads. We do prefer to just scrape them from using Sales Navigator, Crunchbase, Apollo, or any of these lookalike platforms. And then obviously you can set up triggers within Clay, where with softwares like Trigify, where if someone responds to or comments on a post, or they do some sort of social media engagement where you assess that they have an interest in the topic that you are in, you can create automations where you actively look through LinkedIn profiles and you pull the data. When you're scraping lists, let's say if you are going on the route where you don't want to use any signals, you just want to go into a database, plug in your filters, and you want to scrape the list just so you can begin your outbound, you can use different scrapers. So a couple ways to do this is to use Apify. Now be wary that Apollo has shut down all Apify scrapers. They did that a couple months back. So you need to use either freelancers or you need to pay for the package on Apollo. It is pretty expensive, so I would advise using freelancers, and some that we have found working are Find a Lead, but you can also use other providers as well. But Apify can help you scrape any of the other places as well. And then obviously you can hire people to do it for you. You can have freelancers on Upwork or Fiverr scrape these platforms for you, or you can create your own internal scraper and train an internal employee to do it. But it's going to take the longest time, and it might not be as cheap as just hiring a freelancer to scrape the leads for you. Next, when you have the lead lists scraped, you need to find and verify the contacts. So when you scrape a lead list, you won't be getting all the leads at once. For example, let's say you're scraping from Apollo, you might see that 30% of all the emails are missing. So you need to use, and also phone numbers, and I wouldn't even trust phone numbers from there, so you will probably need to use these always. But we mainly use ICPs and Lead Magic for finding emails, and also Wizza and Full Enrich. But for mobile phone numbers, we are going to be using Full Enrich. And basically, this is again just to get all the data so we can contact everyone, 100% of our lead list from on cold email, LinkedIn, and on their phone. Now, for verifying email addresses, the two platforms that we use are Million Verifier and Bounce Band. So from Million Verifier, I've kind of zoomed in so I can show you a specific case here. But let's say we have, in this case, we had about what is this, 22, let's say 25,000 people. We established that 79% of them are good to send to, and then the rest are either risky or bad. Now, the risky or bad, we're going to take from this platform and we're going to plug them into Bounce Band, where you can basically do the same check, but only with the risky ones. And Bounce Band is great for verifying risky emails that come from Million Verifier. Now, one thing to note here is that you can either do it manually, where you just download it from here and plug it into Bounce Band, and then you get it back to Sheets, and then you create your list there. But that's the manual way to do it. We have a Clay table that does this for us. So the moment we plug leads into the table, it automatically sends them through an HTTP API call to Million Verifier. If the address is good to go, it sends it to the enrichment protocol that we have. If it's not good and it's deemed as risky, it automatically sends it to Bounce Band, again through API, and Bounce Band is going to check that as well. So at the end of the enrichment waterfall or verification waterfall in this case, if we have a verified email that has gone through both providers and it's good to go, we are sending them to another table where we enrich them. If it happens that they don't pass any of these tests, then we don't send to them at all. This is how we ensure we get sub 1% bounce rates across campaigns. The majority of these things and defining the contacts as well is also done within Clay. We don't hop from platform to platform. We've just connected all these platforms to single tables where we've centralized this. And if you can build this internally, this is how you can automate a lot of this process, especially if you can combine it with a web scraping capability. You can basically scrape leads, verify their contacts, find their contacts, enrich their contacts, and plug them into your sending tool and literally have it run on autopilot. And this is kind of what agencies like mine do. But if you want to build this internally, this is the tech stack that we're using and that I would recommend that you use as well. Now, in terms of enriching data, which is the next step, we approach it in two steps, which is company level enrichment and contact level enrichment. That's at least how we view it. So in the company level enrichment, what we're looking to determine is what tech stack are they using, because some of our clients want us to check this before we contact someone. Hiring velocity, so whether they're growing as a team or they're hiring for specific marketing or tech roles, could be a great signal that they are looking to expand or buy solutions within that sector. If they're recently funded, if they had any capital events, estimated revenue and expansion, product launches and feature releases, paid ads activity, if we're working with an SEO client or a paid ads client, and any company industry news. This is basically the top line intent data that we are scraping or we're determining within Clay. So because we've established what type of company they are and what their intent is in terms of from a scoring hierarchy perspective, and we already know who we should target within the organization, whether it's the product owners or the chief financial manager, etc., we go ahead and start enriching the specific person within Clay as well after we've done the company level enrichment. So here we can find a lot of data in terms of what their job function depth is, seniority, so their tenure, LinkedIn posting activity, if we want to scrape LinkedIn posts or just see if they're active and if we should reach out to them on LinkedIn as well. This is where we do this step as well. If they've recently changed their job and their previous roles, we can comment on that. If they're attending any conferences, events, we can comment on that. And any email engagement likelihood is determined by these criteria here and this here. But when we have the intent signals and you add the premium list that you've already verified and enriched, and you also add the robust strategy that you've developed, then there is no way you're not going to book meetings. It's just how it is. But you do need to obviously ensure that every step is followed thoroughly and that you're actually doing the work and not just winging it. In terms of the derived intent signals, again, we're just looking to establish three things, which is the buying stage score, so their hiring velocity, as I mentioned, funding recency, tech changes, traffic growth, etc. The contact urgency score, so that's the exact person that we're reaching out to. So what is the relevance to the role, the tenure, the LinkedIn activity, the job changes, etc. And the personalization angle that we're going to be using in the email, which is why now? Why is it relevant? What is the opening and what is the CTA? And how can we personalize the opener and CTA to make a value first CTA that resonates with the person we're reaching out to? We don't just want to pitch a call. We want to actually sell them on a pre-made solution, but that's a different strategy for another video. In terms of the steps so far that we've covered, so we've covered how to lay out the strategy, how to source data, and how to find the intent signals within the data. Now, at least how we approach this, and I'm not saying this is a strategy that is set in stone, but this is just how we do it, is we build the infrastructure. Now, the infrastructure could be built prior to this. Obviously, when you have multiple teammates, you do all of this simultaneously. But if I had to put it in a chronological order, this is at least how we envision this part. In terms of infrastructure, so we have 3 layers, and the first one is the email layer. When we're dealing with emails and cold emailing in general, now you can't do large-scale cold emailing without having a robust domain infrastructure setup, which means you won't be sending emails from your main domain, as that will harm your internal deliverability across colleagues, and you literally cannot send more than, I would say, to be on the safe side, 20 emails per day per account if you're using Google. So if you have one domain and you have, let's say, 5 accounts connected to that domain, the most you can send is 100 emails per day, which is, if you're only sending on workdays, it's about 2.3 thousand a month, which is nowhere near enough for cold email in 2026. So what you want to do at the bare minimum is buy 30 domains that are variations of your main domain. So for example, if it's virtually.com, you can do virtuallyteam.com, virtuallypartners.com, virtuallyoutbound.com, etc., etc., etc. You could track website data, and you could make re-engagement campaigns based off of that with solutions like our B2B, and there's other solutions in place for this to be done. But just make sure that when you are buying domains, you should have all your records in place, like the name servers, the DMARCs, the SPFs, the DKIMs, etc. And for domain registrars, what we're mainly using is Porkbun. If Porkbun doesn't have any discounts, we use Spaceship. If Spaceship doesn't have any discounts, we use Dynodot. These 3 have been working really well for us. I wouldn't recommend GoDaddy because they're too expensive for buying the same domain. That's why I've put them as last, and I don't know why people still recommend them. Maybe I am missing something, but from our perspective, Porkbun and Spaceship and Dynodot domains have been performing well, really well. And the 2 types of domains that I would buy is .com and .co. I wouldn't buy anything else. I wouldn't buy .info, .xyz. There's different kind of perspectives on this in the cold email space, but for emailing in general, I would stick to .com and .co. Now that you've bought your domains from whatever domain registrar you choose to use, you need to provision your mailboxes. Now we use resellers for this. You can create them manually, but with this scale, you wouldn't want to do that. So what I would use, and what we use at VergeLead, at least the 2 providers that we've tried and we're confident to recommend to other people, are premium inboxes and sending.ac, but 2 other ones that are really good are Zapmail and Skilled Mail. Now with these types of setup, one thing you should keep in mind is that when you are doing Google inboxes, you can connect 2 to 3 Google inboxes per domain. And when you're doing Outlook inboxes, let's say if you're doing on a cloud setup like Azure, what you could do is 60 Outlook sending accounts to connect it to one domain, which is what sending.ac does. So just to give you an understanding of how this works, you just go, when you've bought your domains, you go into premium inboxes, and then you just sign in and you fill out their form and you make a purchase on the inboxes that you want to use, whether it be 30, 40, 50, 60. Now for this setup, we do recommend that you set up, I do recommend that if you have 30 domains, you use 20 of them to set up the Google side and then use the rest of the domains to set up the Outlook side. Now how we would go about splitting the accounts is, let's say if you've bought, in this case, 25, you use 25 25 domains to set up the Google side of your infrastructure, then times that by 3, and you need to order 75 Google inboxes from premium inboxes. And then the other thing you could do for Outlook is, if you have the rest of your domains, so 5 domains times 60, then that gives you 300 Outlook inboxes that you can use, and this is the volume you can use with each setup. So if we're using 2 to 3 Google sending accounts for one domain and 60 Outlook accounts for one domain, then the sending is also different for each type of account. So what we found work by, after sending hundreds of thousands of emails, is that with Google inboxes, we can safely send about 15 emails per day, 15 to 20 emails per day per account. And then with Outlook inboxes, we can send 2 to 3 emails per account per day. So this is why you see here with 300 Outlook inboxes, you have 900 emails a day as a capacity, a maximum recommended capacity. You can go over this if you find a winning angle, but we really just try to stick to these volume counts when we do our campaigns. And then for Google, you would be doing 15 to 20, so that's kind of how you get to this number as well. Combined, you should comfortably be sending about 2,000 emails a day, which is more than enough to get the initial market feedback that you're looking for, and then get the leads, obviously, and meetings as a result. With this setup, you can send about 45 to 50,000 emails a month, which is substantially higher than sending 2,000 or 1,000 emails a month. Now, in terms of the email sending engine, so again, these are the providers that we would use. So premium inboxes for the Google side, and then we use sending.ac for the Azure Cold Email Infrastructure side. In terms of sending, so we are using Instantly and Smartlead. We do like Instantly more because it's just performing better for us right now. I'm not saying one platform is better than the other, but in some regards they are different. Now with Instantly, if you don't know what Instantly is, it basically allows you to connect all your sending accounts in one dashboard. So let's say you bought 600, 900 accounts, you can plug them all into Instantly, so you can send campaigns using these accounts, and then you can obviously see an overview of your campaigns. Now I've just picked one campaign here just to look at it for the sake of the example, but you can see all metrics like how many emails you sent to how many people, and then you can check the reply rate, you can check the positive reply rate and the opportunities that come from this and what it amounts to pipeline value, and you can do all your split testing as well. You can also instantly have a Unibox, which is basically a combined centralized box that allows you to use the hundreds of accounts that you've set up to receive emails in one place, and you can connect this to an inbox manager or account executive that you have on your team, or you can develop an AI bot to handle the replies for you within Instantly natively by creating an AI agent trained on your company data. But if you click on any of these conversations, you're going to open them, and then you can engage with the people that are responding to you. And then obviously you have a CRM, which is just combining all the types of replies that you get, whether it's information requests, pricing questions, phone call requests, meeting requests, etc. This is what we use for sending emails mainly. It's instantly.ai. You can add team members to it and create automations to your CRM or Slack, whatever your communication platform is, so you get notified when you receive a reply, so you don't have to have Instantly open at all times. You can just open it when you need to use it. You can create automations also to connect instantly with Clay. So prior to this, when I was speaking about the waterfall enrichment that you can do and the automations you can do in Clay by just putting a CSV and then having it verified, enriched, and personalized to each receiver, you can also just send that to Instantly, and you can begin the campaign by having your email accounts connected to the platform, and you can have an AI reply agent that responds to everyone and books them in your calendar. Now, we do not solely rely on AI inbox managers, so for full transparency, we still have human in the loop, just because AI is not entirely there, but it can handle about 70% of requests. Now, one thing to note before we continue is that when you are using email accounts for cold outbound purposes, you need to warm them up for at least 2 to 3 weeks, which means that internally, in Smartlead and Instantly have warm-up pools where users send emails between each other to emulate human behavior and to gradually ramp up the sending volume. So the volumes that we spoke of here cannot be reached from day one, because if you start sending this amount on day one, you're just going to most likely burn your entire infrastructure because you haven't yet validated your message, which is kind of the core problem. Is if you don't have a valid outbound message, you're just going to get a lot of people reporting you for spam, and they're not going to like your message. Google, Microsoft are going to take notice of that, and they're going to blacklist you and shut down your system. So you do need to gradually warm up your infrastructure before you get to this volume. The next one to cover is the LinkedIn layer. So for LinkedIn outbound, in terms of connection requests and DMs, we use a platform called HeyReach, which is really convenient. Now I have this just as an example for the sake of the video, but you can check all the accounts that you've connected to the platform. So if you have colleagues, let's say it's 3 people on the team that are doing sales, you can connect all of them to HeyReach. Everyone pays for a seat. You should check prices and all that. And then you can also create campaigns, and you can check all the metrics. It's similar to Instantly in the sense that you kind of see, okay, how many people have accepted my connection, how many messages have been sent, and how many replies have I received for every message. And if you're using emails, you can check that as well. But it also allows you again to see all the connected LinkedIn accounts, the leads that you've put into the system, the network, which is basically kind of self-explanatory. I mean, if you have a LinkedIn account connected, you can see all the people that are connected to it, and then you can get the same Unibox experience as Instantly. So whenever someone responds to you, you can basically see it here as well. And you can integrate with all your CRMs and Slack and Make and our B2B and everything else. You can also connect it to Instantly, which is the biggest point here, because it ties into the multi-channel approach that we use, which is once you have created a subscription on HeyReach, you've created your account, and you've connected or you have rented LinkedIn accounts to connect to HeyReach, this is where you need to set up the Instantly configuration, so that when we do campaigns, let's say we get an interested reply, that interested lead is not only going to be followed up with on email, but they're also going to be sent to LinkedIn so that we can begin the conversation there as well, and we have multiple touch points. This is how this is done, and this is why we use HeyReach. This is why it's important to have this connection, because it's going to be super easy to set up. And then if for whatever reason there are some other custom capabilities that we would like to use, we use make.com to create these connections between the two platforms as well, if they don't have the connections natively built in. But at least how I view LinkedIn outbound at this stage is that we do campaigns only for priority or interested leads. So since LinkedIn is very limited in terms of scalability, let's say for connections you can do safely about 100 connections per week per account. Even if you have 5 people, even if you have 10 people, you can just do 1,000 a week. and that's only connections. We're not talking about cold DMs as well. So it's really limited, because if you have a campaign, if you have email campaigns that are sending 50,000 emails a month, then obviously you're not going to be able to catch up with that volume on LinkedIn. So this is why we reserve LinkedIn mainly for priority and interested leads. It has to be a really dialed in list, or it has to be an interested lead that has come from a broader list that we've used on email. The main use case for HeyReach and LinkedIn right now is to send connection requests, like posts, and do profile views. And we can also send DMs, but only again for the highest priority leads, but we can do this at a large scale. And we view LinkedIn as an awareness channel. So the core of our outbound, I'm going to show how this happens in a second, later on after we pass the content stage. But basically, when we have launched the email campaign, we also put the people on LinkedIn, so the same leads on LinkedIn. So they see us on all fronts, and they're like, oh, this guy sent me an email, oh, this is his profile. And we're going to go into profile optimization in a bit. But if you have an optimized profile and an optimized landing page, this is where you strike gold. Now that you've set up the email and LinkedIn layer, you need to go forward and connect your calendar or CRM. In our case, if you don't have a calendar, I do recommend using Calendly, as it is the simplest one to set up. But you do need to, in whatever case, you do need to have a booking page so that leads can book in a time and check your availability at all times. The same booking page can be routed to an SDR. So if you have multiple people on your team, you can have multiple booking pages, and you can split the volume accordingly to meet quotas if they're on performance. You can connect it to Slack, so any communication channel you're using, you can connect Calendly, you can connect it. We personally connect it to a lead sheet as well that we give to all our clients, so they can track all the leads there, but they also get the data sent from their calendar. And they can also get it connected to any CRM of choice, like Pipedrive, HubSpot, or whatever. And Calendly also, or any calendar setup mostly, allows you to also create pre-post call flows, which reduces no-shows and nurtures leads after calls. So in our case, a pre-call flow means that before a meeting has happened, they will receive 3, 4, 5 reminders across SMS and LinkedIn, across SMS and email, so they can get notified about the meeting, and they can get more resources, and we can further pre-qualify them after the call so they come prepared. And the post call is basically after a meeting has happened, do we need to send any resources or any case studies or anything that we need to send them to move the deal forward. And finally, a calendar setup just allows you in general to collect more data and see how many show-ups you're getting, how many people move from discovery to demo, how many move from demo to proposal, and how many after that, move from proposal to a deal. This obviously matters if you have a multi-step sales process approach, where it's like you don't close people on a one call process, but you need like 3 calls to close a prospect. Finally, you do need to have a CRM in place. If you don't have a CRM in place, you're going to get a bunch of leads, and you're not going to be able to manage them once the handoff has happened. So let's say if you're working with an outbound partner like us, we handle everything from the strategy to booking the leads for you, and obviously creating the content that I'm going to go over now in a second. But if you don't have this set up internally for your sales team, you're going to struggle in general. The best CRMs are HubSpot and Pipedrive. In terms of easy use, is the easiest. Then you have Close.io, which is more for agencies, and then you can also create a custom one on ClickUp. I've just included ClickUp because we use it, and it's a project management tool, but it does allow you to also create a CRM, and we haven't noticed any issues on this front. So this is why you need to have CRM in place. You need to have a calendar that points the leads to the CRM, and everything is going to flow there nicely. When you have everything set up in terms of strategy, the data pipeline, and the infrastructure, you do need to create the content, which is the copywriting and the LinkedIn content and the website content. And I'm going to show you all the types of content now. So phase 3, content system. We're going to start with the email sequences. Now, in terms of email sequences, what we typically like to do is create 3 campaign batches, where each batch has a 3-step sequence. So batches refer to a couple campaigns that we have, let's say 2 or 3, that are segmented for either a very specific subgroup of people within a market. So let's say the lookalike targeting that I mentioned, or it could be broader campaigns, and we split them into different batches, where we have the broader campaigns here and the super niche down campaigns on the other side. Each campaign within these batches is also going to have 3 steps within it. We don't do more than 3 steps in the main flow, just because we don't want to annoy people if they haven't responded to us. We just don't see a reason to send more emails at this stage. When they respond to us, that's when we can push them to a 6, 7, 8 step follow-up sequence. But if they haven't responded to us and they're completely cold, we stick to 3 emails, and we do personalized opener, clear value, call to action in our first email, which is typically pretty short, like 3-4 sentences, as I would advise to do. Don't overdo it on the AI front. In 2026, a lot of people are getting fed up with AI content, so try to be human and try to make it resonate with them. Don't rely solely on AI, don't rely solely on Clay, but just use the strategy that you've developed, and also use the intent signals that you've established here to make it relevant to them, and make sure that your product falls in line with what they are looking to achieve. If you do this, then your copywriting is going to get so much easier as well, because you're writing to the person you've already serviced. If you have, let's say, a previous customer just like them, you will know their pain points, desires, and goals. So yeah, I would stick to three to five steps, and then each campaign has 3 to 5 variations. So each step has 3 to 5 variations. So in email 1 you're gonna have 2 to 3 variations, email 2 you're gonna have 3 to 5 variations, and etc, etc. So in email 1 you may say, hey, we saw that you use this technology, do you know that you can do XYZ to save X amount of money per month, etc, etc. Or you can try another angle, which is not on the cost saving side but on the make money side. Now email 2 in our case is a value add and a soft CTA to email 1. So if email 1 is for just throwing the Hail Mary and saying, hey, this is why we think this is relevant, here's a value CTA that you might appreciate, here's a lead magnet that you might like. Email 2 is just about adding more value to it, so just explaining more about what they can achieve, what the end outcome is of this offer. And then the soft CTA refers to not the lead magnet necessarily, but kind of pointing them to, hey, did you see this, you could find this useful, etc, if you're looking to do XYZ in the next 6 months or in 2026. And email 3 we use as a breakup email, but we don't like to say stuff like, hey, we're not going to contact you anymore. We do it more softly, where we say, hey, you might not be the best person to talk to, apologies if we got it wrong, is colleague name, insert colleague name, a better contact for this. And we've already established that by using Clay and using Sales Navigator and LinkedIn in general to know who their colleagues are. Now that's on the campaign creation side. In terms of the cold email campaign creation, it obviously goes way more in depth, and there's copywriting principles, there's a lot of stuff that has to be done here. I can make an entire video just on Instantly, and campaign creation is going to be a couple of hours long probably, but as a general rule of thumb, you just want to have 3 different campaign batches, one that is for your perfect audience, one that is broader, for example, so 2 in this case, and then each of these campaign batches has to have 3 steps. Each step has to have 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 variations at least, so you can have enough data to test and get a lot of inputs, whether a specific variant or specific CTA is performing better than the rest, and just disable everything else and just go ham on the one that is working, because that's what your market wants at the end of the day. But yeah, as I said, there's just not enough time to go over this because it's a very long topic, and with this video I just wanted to give you the understanding of what the outbound process looks like from a bird's eye view, as briefly and as comprehensively as I can. It's a lot of material, so yeah, it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Now, in terms of inbox management, this is the second step of your cold email campaigns, where you start naturally getting replies. What you want to do at this stage is you want to have already prepared reply templates before launching the campaign. So you should know what the main objections are of your market, and you should know how to hook someone in if they say they're interested. What should you say to convince them to hop on a call with you? Because sometimes this is where a deal gets lost. They say, I'm interested, and then you say something that is completely irrelevant to them, or kind of loses their interest, and they just ghost you, or they say, actually, no, I made up my mind. So this is very important that you have this in place, because you do need to make the conversion from opportunity to meeting. Now, objection handler, we've already covered that, and then you also have to have follow-up sequences for each sentiment type. Now, sentiment type refers to whether they are interested to learn more, whether they want to know the price, whether they want a meeting with you, whether they want more information about the product specifically, like technology, tech questions, or something like on that front. Any specific kind of sentiment type that you've established that is the most often one that you get with your customers, in terms of requests, you should have 3 or 4 subsequent campaigns that you should have in Instantly or Smart Lead in order to put people inside them, and have the follow-ups send out. Now, the follow-ups, typically I stick to 6 to 7 follow-ups spread across 2 weeks. So when someone responds interested, we reply manually to them using either our reply templates or an AI inbox management bot. And after that, the bot or the person puts them in the subsequences, then the subsequence carries out the rest of the conversation for a span of 2 weeks. And if they don't respond to us, then it's okay, we move on to other channels. Finally, I recommend that you connect your sending platform to a communications channel that your team uses, so you can share this with your team and you can just brainstorm together what's the right way to approach, and you can train the AI models on your knowledge. But we use Slack for this, where we send every message that we receive to Slack, and then we can correspond with the clients and say, hey, how would you respond to this lead? And after, I would say 20-30 replies, we get a general understanding of, okay, this is exactly what the AI bot should sound like. We already have built the AI bot prior to this, but the client feedback just makes it even better. So that's from the email side. Now, on the LinkedIn profile side, you really want to optimize your LinkedIn, because if you are going to be doing multi-channel outbound and you're going to be contacting people that are interested on email, you do want to push them to a LinkedIn profile that is professional and answers their questions. The main 3 questions are: who do you help, what outcome do you drive, and why should they trust you? If your profile answers these 3 questions, then you should be good to go. Now, in terms of profile positioning, you should have a headline that is optimized. For example, we help ICP achieve primary outcome with XYZ. Let me just go through my profile. So in my case, I have a color gradient that is specific to my brand. So blue, dark, kind of lightish at the end. It's kind of the main brand colors that we have. Then I say, hey, building outbound growth systems for B2B software and marketing firms. Then I say who I am. And then in the banner, I also have what we do, and we have some social proof as well, who we've connected clients with, our logo here as well, where we're located. And then in the about section, I have an explanation of myself, kind of my backstory and kind of why I founded the company, which is more personal. I don't want a hard pitch. I don't like, at least in my view and my understanding of LinkedIn, is I don't like to have a hard pitch here that just slaps people with your offer. I prefer to keep it more personal and get to share more about myself. And then if people are interested and they like me as a person, we can naturally start a conversation that can lead to something fruitful for both parties. I also like to have the top skills here listed, and in the featured section, you should have ideally a link to a calendar where people can book an appointment with you. You should have an explainer video. So this links directly to a YouTube video that I have, which explains our service in about 10 minutes. And also a link to your website so you can funnel traffic. And then you should be posting on LinkedIn. I would say 3 posts a week in general is a good number for most people. I'm not the biggest poster as well, but you should have some form of posting cadence so that people know you and the algorithm pushes your stuff to the platform in general. You should have your company, and in the company section you should have what the company does, and this is where you can be more straightforward with your offer and pushing them to the website and all that. And you should have any recommendations or anything below your profile as well, just so people see you're legit. This is basically this section. So again, keep your headline optimized, keep your banner optimized, so clear outcome statement, proof metrics, so what you've done for clients. You can put logos, you can obviously your profile picture should be clear, you should have a colorful background. Your about section should include a positioning statement, who it's for, what problem you solve, how your solution is different, some proof elements that you have, soft call to actions. The feature section should include case studies, short decks, result screenshots, systems overview, anything you can put that explains what you do. Put that on the top of your LinkedIn profile so that people see it immediately. In terms of LinkedIn activity, as I mentioned, post at least 3 times a week in general. And in terms of the post types, what we recommend doing is going top to bottom funnel, where top of funnel is personal stories. So anything in terms of founder-led businesses where you share the journey, how you're building the business, what your wins and losses are. That is good content in general because you're being authentic and you're building a brand that is authentic to you. And then you also should be posting social proof. So whenever you have any wins, whether it be small or big wins, post them on LinkedIn so your ideal customers see that this works for people just like them. And finally, you should have bottom of funnel posts where it's value posting and you just have a call to action at the end for a resource of a kind, which is like a lead magnet. It could be a custom GPT bot, a Notion page, or a video like this. Ideally, you should be sending about 20 connection requests daily to your ideal customer profiles, and you should be commenting on their posts as well, because that's where people from their audience see you as well. And if you're reaching out to software developers, the likelihood of them being connected with more software developers is very high. So people are going to see you from their posts. That's how LinkedIn works. And finally, again, as I mentioned, create lead magnets for your posts. Anything that is useful for your audience, package it up in a video, whether it be long, short form, or you can package it up as a ChatGPT bot or a Notion page as well. Now, once you've done the copywriting for your email campaigns and you have also done the reply templates, objection handlers, you've created the AI inbox management bot, you've connected it to Slack, and you have all the content ready for your emails, and you've optimized the content on your LinkedIn, you've optimized your post, you're connecting with your ideal audience. This is where you also should optimize your landing page if you have it. Now, obviously, this will vary from company size to company size, but I think this is relevant for everyone because you should be proactively updating your website to reflect the latest market feedback that you've gathered. I mean, you might have thought that you have a very clear landing page, but then if 3 prospects come in and they're like, oh, we weren't actually sure what you guys do, that's when you need to change stuff. Now, in terms of what your website should achieve, there's really 3 things. It should reinforce your target audience's specific beliefs. It should be positioned towards them. It should demonstrate a tangible outcome transformation from A to B, and it should funnel visitors towards your sales reps. So the end goal of this, now again, it might vary from company to company, but if you are a software development company, if you are a marketing agency or any SaaS, you would probably want to have demos scheduled within your calendar. So just have a clear landing page that says, this is for this type of group of people, this is what you get, this is who has trusted us, and then you have your explainer video here. Then you could have the workflow laid out. I mean, this is again how I've done our website. This can change from person to person, but this is what it looks like on our end. And after you have the case studies, you can have more social proof on client results, and then your process, and a calendar link down below so they can book meetings with you. So the ICP tailored website copy is basically, who is this for? What outcome does your target audience get? how is it achieved, and why it's credible. The video sales letter, which is the video you saw in the beginning, should be anywhere between, realistically, I would say 10 to 40 minutes long, and it should describe your process. So it should compress trust, so it should compress why your solution works, explains the system, how it works, and it frames the SDR call as the next logical step. So at the end of your video sales letter, you should say, hey, if this interests you in any way, shape, or form, we can have a strategy session, or we can meet face to face to discuss your internal goals and see how this might fit. The end goal of your video sales letter and the end goal of your website should be to push people to the call. That's it. In terms of social proof, again, just show them before and after results, metrics tied to outcomes, client interviews, testimonials, and clear next steps. Again, book strategy discovery call or fill out a form. And in the form, be sure to collect their email and phone number so you can do the multi-channel approach as well. In terms of calling, now you've already optimized your landing page, you've optimized your LinkedIn, and you've created your email sequences. You're ready to launch campaigns on both fronts. Now you should also have warm call processes set in place so that when someone responds interest to your emails or your LinkedIn DMs, you can have a person from your team call them immediately. Now we've had meetings double just because we've called leads when they responded with a specific interest, and it's way easier to speak to these people in general because they've already raised their hand. So when you're picking up the phone to call them, you're like, hey John, you just replied to my email about the cold email services we offer. You wanted to learn more, blah, blah, blah. Is Tuesday next week at 3 p.m. a suitable time so we can look through the case and just see if it's a fit. That's how you will approach warm call in most cases. Now, obviously, insert service. This is not only for cold email, but for any market on the planet. So warm calling scripts, calling only interested leads. You need to reply, you need to call positive email replies. So anyone that's interested, let's talk, and open to learning more, but they haven't booked a call in your calendar yet. They've replied with availability questions. So if they've specifically asked for availability, let's say if they ask, hey, let's chat, are you available next Tuesday or Wednesday? Or they just say, let's chat. If you reply with email, they might answer 2-3 days after your reply if they are busy. But if you ring them up, they are going to pick up and they are going to say, okay, yeah, I did want to talk. Let's schedule it for 2 p.m. next week. And then for soft positive signals. So again, if someone asks for more technical information or more product information, that is also a good reason to call them and explain how it works. Now, the warm call objective is to anchor relevance to their situation, set expectations for the discovery call, maintain momentum from the reply, and it should be done within 5 to 30 minutes of the positive reply, same day at work, so they don't forget you and it doesn't get awkward. Most people forget when they receive a cold email. This is why you should be fast with this approach. Now, in terms of scripting, obviously you're going to do it way more detailed than this, but you need to acknowledge the context. So you just reply to my email. You need to have intent confirmation. So what was it more about specific problem or outcome, or just wanting to understand what we do? You should do live qualification. So are you currently doing XYZ? You should frame the meeting. The best next step is a short call where we blah, blah, blah. You should try to book the call. So I've got the calendar open. Would something later this week or early next week work better? And finally, you should close the loop so they confirm verbally that you're going to meet them. So I'll send you over a quick agenda and have you accepted the meeting in your calendar? Yes. Okay, John, I'm going to meet you next week. Now let's go over calendar flows. So pre and post call flows. You need to have 3 triggers. And if you're using Calendly, it should be about CRM stage updates, pre-call nurture, and SDR prep. So when someone books a meeting, your CRM should immediately acknowledge that change in lead status. Your SDR should get the data of the meeting sent to them so they can prepare for the meeting and for the lead and make it personalized. And then you also should have pre-call nurture flows and post-call nurture flows as well. The typical pre-call content flow that you can do, and this is pretty basic, but you can do immediate confirmation with meeting link. And by the way, this is all done in Calendly, but when someone books in, they immediately get an email saying, hey, you've confirmed the meeting for Tuesday next week. 48 hours before the meeting, you should send them a reminder with a resource page and social proof. So the resource page could be, hey, this is more about how our solution works, so we can answer some questions before our call. And social proof here is what the same company as you achieved with this solution. 24 hours before the call, you send them another reminder saying like, hey, we have our call in 24 hours. I just want to send you this quick client interview because it might answer any questions that you might have. And it's going to save us time on the call. And 1 hour before the call on the same day, you should send them a reminder, hey, John, looking forward to meeting you in an hour. Here's the meeting link. Basically, this is a simple 4-step pre-call flow that you can follow to substantially reduce no-shows, and you can do this pretty easily and super fast. So you don't need to do SMS flows. I'd say at least do email. If you can do email and stick to this cadence, you should be good. In terms of post-call content flows, you should do a no-show emails flow where someone doesn't show to a meeting, you send them a message immediately, and then you send them another email 24 hours later, and then you send another one 48 hours later, and then you send another one to close the loop, where it's like, hey, you missed the meeting, maybe something happened, should we reschedule? And then you do this three more times, and you also call them as well. So if you have their phone number, obviously this is going to happen automatically, the reminders or the kind of the nudges, but you should also call the lead manually on your phone. After the discovery call, so let's say they showed up to the call and you had a nice discovery session, you should reinforce the value by sending them more resources, confirm that they understand, and frame the next call. The next call is typically the demo if you're following a 2-call sales process. And after the demo, you send them the recording, you send them the presentation, and you send them the proposal and the contract, and that really depends on how your sales call went. But yeah, you should have templates for this, and you should have them ready so when a call happens and a specific criteria has been met, a specific nudge will be sent out to the lead. Now, in terms of sales calls, I wanted to add this short section because obviously we're talking about outbound here, and I don't want to assume that I know about your sales process, but it really goes hand in hand, and I believe these are important resources that you should have before you even schedule calls so that you're confident in your sales process. But in order to be confident in your sales process, you should map it out. So do you typically need 1 call to close a prospect? Do you need 2 calls? Do you need 3 calls? What does the typical call process look like? Like for me personally, it's discovery, demo, proposal. So you should define that for yourself, and you should define what type of resources do you need. Do you need an ROI calculator? Do you need a pitch deck? Do you need a whiteboard to draw stuff on? Do you need to have a client with you to say, hey, yeah, he did it for me? You know, it's a lot of things. So just prepare all your materials and map it out. In the discovery call, if you are following this sales call process, you typically should have a short explainer text. So it should be like 2-3 minutes in the beginning of the call where you're like, hey, thanks for hopping on the call, just so we're kind of on the same page. This is what we do, and we kind of want to ask you some questions so we understand if this is a fit. In the discovery call questions, you should cover 4 topics. So you should understand what your company, what your customer does, their pain points, the time, so how urgent is this for them, and the ROI, especially if you're selling any B2B outbound services, or if you're selling, even if you're selling software development, or if you're selling paid ads, you should tie it into their average deal size and the LTV of your prospect. So in the discovery call, your goal should be to determine how much money they're making from their customers, so you can tie it into your service, because you might have the best system ever on the planet, but if you don't showcase what the end outcome looks like to the person you're speaking to, the likelihood of them buying your service is substantially lower, because they're not interested in the technicalities. Like I'm making this video right now to showcase our process, and I know a lot of people might not watch it to the end, and that's completely fine. But to the ones that do and do want to implement this, I know that there's a lot of value. But even with this value, you should, if you are looking to implement an outbound system like this, you should tie it into ROI, so you understand, okay, if I'm spending this much a month, how much am I making back in terms of LTV? Finally, in the demo call, you most likely would have a pitch deck. The pitch deck should visualize those solutions and results. It should demonstrate timelines and ROI, and it should support the overall buying decision. It should handle the objections, and if you have any other resources like an ROI calculator, it will show the money made, money saved, or time saved. So for different offers, typically an offer would fall into one of these 3 categories, or a couple of categories at once. This is how you visualize this. This is the point of the deck, and it's to push the buying decision forward. Okay, now that we've covered everything from the strategy to the data to the infrastructure to the content, we transition to the actual multi-channel launch, which is how we approach outbound in 2026 and how you can approach outbound in 2026 if you would like to increase your lead and meeting quantity. There's 2 ways that we look at this. If you have a small lead list and you have the team capacity to connect a lot of accounts on HeyReach to do LinkedIn outbound, then we recommend the laser focused approach, where you set up instantly, you set up HeyReach, and you set up the warm calling in place, so that you from day 1 send email 1, send the connection request, and one of your teammates can start calling leads, basically hitting your lead list on all 3 fronts from day 1. This is the best approach, but this is if you don't have the constraint of I'm sending 50,000 emails here, but I only have 1 account connected to HeyReach, so I can send 20 connection requests a day. This is why I mentioned in the past that we have 2 different ways to do this, and we prefer option 2. But if you have a super small list and you have a really dialed in list and you just have colleagues, you're a big company with like 50 people on LinkedIn, you can probably do this at scale and synchronize all the data at once. So yeah, day 1, you're firing off on all fronts. Day 2, let's say your connection gets accepted. Day 3, you send another email. On day 3, you also do a profile view. So in HeyReach, you're going to set up the LinkedIn campaign so that it sends a connection request on day 1. Let's say after 2 days, if your connection has been accepted, it views the profile, and then 24 hours later, it likes the post. That's basically the simple way of being visible on LinkedIn when you are also doing cold calling and emailing. For emailing, you would probably want to wait at least 2 days before you send your follow-up, and then 3 to 4 days more so you can send the referral / hey, are you the wrong person? We may want to speak with someone else email. Now, let's say you get a positive reply. So you want to check if they are already activated on LinkedIn. If they haven't, send them to LinkedIn. I mean, this is all going to be automatic when you set up the system, but the system is going to check if they are in your campaign sequence already on HeyReach, and if they are not, then you're also going to appear as a connection request, and it's going to activate the flow which we spoke of, which is someone responds positively to your email, they get sent to LinkedIn, and they get warm called. That's basically what option 2 is, but option 3 just combines all of them at once. So when you warm call them, you're just looking to verify, okay, did they answer? No. If they haven't answered, then you put them in a cold email sequence where it's the same as the one we spoke of, which is 6, 7, 8 follow-ups spread across 2 weeks. And also you can warm call them again later in the week as well to try them again on the phone. And the whole point of this is, again, to just get the answer once they've showed positive interest. If they still don't reply to you, then you put them in a recycled sequence so they get, again, push through the same campaign 2, 3 months, 4 months later down the road. If they answer, which is the higher likelihood if you're hitting them on all channels, then you're looking kind of at 3 different situations, which is they either say that they are really not interested in the service and you should not contact them again, even though they showed interest. Sometimes that happens. You put them in a do not contact list. If they're not interested now and it's a soft interest, then you put them in a nurture sequence, which is different from the recycle sequence because it basically allows you to keep them in active outbound and not entirely remove them from your cadences, but keep them in a campaign that is split across 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and it's like 1 email per month, kind of slow, kind of keeping you on top of their mind type of campaign. While the other one, if they haven't responded, it's just completely starting the cycle all over again. And finally, the result that we all want is the meeting book. So when they book a meeting, they are immediately sent to Calendly, and Calendly is connected to, if you have a leads sheet, for example, you're tracking leads somewhere, or a CRM or anywhere, you get data sent there immediately from Calendly, and then you also get it sent to your team, to your sales reps on the communication platform that you use, whether it's Google Chat, WhatsApp, Slack, Discord, whatever. And Calendly will trigger the pre-call nurture sequence that we spoke of, which is Limey, which is this one. This pre-call sequence. So they show up to the call, and they're gonna show up to the call, and you begin your sales process, and you make hella money. That's kind of how it works. Now the second approach is the scale-up approach, and this is the one we prefer because with email we're sending 50,000 emails a month. In general, for some clients we send way more, for some clients we send less. But there's a huge discrepancy between the amount of reach outs you can do on LinkedIn compared to email, and this is where a lot of issues might happen if you are dealing with high volume but you don't have the team capacity to do the LinkedIn stuff that I mentioned here. So I would keep this again for the highest priority leads, where it's like super important to put them on all channels. This is what my agency basically does in these cases. But when we're doing active outbound for a broad market, let's say your market is 100,000 people, then we're going to be following this approach that I'm going to show you now. So you need to set up your instantly, you need to set up your sending accounts, your domains, your campaigns, your reply templates, your AI bot. You should be connected to your CRM, you should be connected to Calendly, you should have optimized your profile, LinkedIn profile, you should have optimized your website, you should have done all the steps that we've discussed so far. You send email 1 on day 1. 2 days later, you send email 2. 4 days later, you send email 3, and let's see the result. You get a hard no, you push them to do not contact. You get a not interested lead, or they're just not interested now, it's a soft no, or you don't get a response at all. You either put them in the nurture or recycle sequence that we spoke of, or the fourth option, you get a positive reply. And this is where you start the sequence from variant 1. The only difference is that we start the sequence once we have verified interest or validated interest on email. If we imagine, I mean, it says day 8 because it is the way of the cadence, but if we imagine that this was day 1, it would basically mean that you're following the same 4-step sequence in HeyReach, and while you're doing this, you're also sending your follow-ups within your interested follow-up sequence in instantly that you've set up. So you should have a sequence when someone responds positively, and you should warm call them immediately. So you're calling them, you're putting them in a sequence, and you're connecting with them on LinkedIn all simultaneously. This is the interested lead. They're getting, I don't want to say attacked, but they're getting attacked on all 3 fronts. You can also warm call them again if they haven't responded to your emails, or they haven't reached out to you on LinkedIn. And if they haven't reached out to you on LinkedIn or any other channels, then you will also set up on HeyReach. And what we typically do on HeyReach when it's this variant where we can do at scale for interested people only, is you can send DMs as well, which is like, hey, you responded to my email a week ago talking about XYZ. Would you like to learn more on a call? We can talk about it next week. And then you send another email, another DM again, and you also have your emails flowing as well simultaneously. You can also include another warm call if they haven't responded to you. Now, keep in mind that the whole result of this is to get a reply, and if you get a reply from any of these flows, it will stop the other 2 from happening. So there's no confusion there. This is all included in the system, but if you're doing this internally, you should create systems in place to avoid this and create automations in place to detect. Now for the result, again, we're reaching the point where it's okay, they were interested, they were approached on all 3 channels after they showed interest. Did they switch up their mind and say they're not interested at all? Put them in do not contact? Did they not respond, or are they not interested right now? Something might have changed. You put them in the specific sequence for that. Did they book a meeting? Yes, they're going directly to Calendly, the CRM and communications platforms. They go into your pre-call nurture flow, they visit your website, they book a discovery call with them, you hit them with the post-call automations, you book them for a demo, you book them for a proposal, you close the deal, and you make money. So this is how the entire system basically works. It's again, a lot of things that go into it. Now, this approach will get you qualified leads from email and LinkedIn, but as you might have seen in this video, it is super hard to implement and it will cost you a lot of time, effort, and money until you learn how to do this at scale. So if you are a software development, SaaS, or marketing firm that is looking to implement an outbound system like this, that is a multi-channel, tried and tested system that is going to bring you over 50 interested leads a month consistently on autopilot without you having to move a finger, and you're interested in partnering up with someone that has already done this, then at VergeLead will be happy to talk with you on this. Now, I'm going to leave a link down below for a free strategy call. In the call, we're actually going to create the sequences for you. We're going to show you how the system will work for your company. And we're gonna also display the timelines, the forecast, etc. So you can obviously make a decision. And at the end, if it makes sense, we can go into a paid partnership and we can build this out for you guys, and we can manage the system so you can scale in 2026. So yeah, thank you for your attention. It's a lot of information at first glance, but I'd be happy to talk this with you. I'm always curious to speak with professionals in the industry. So yeah, happy to go over this on a call. See you there.